Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast with Sharique Javaid. And today we have a very interesting topic, and we have two wonderful and very active and motivated two ladies with me. And what we will talk about? We will talk about Migrationsbeirat. What is Migrationsbeirat? Migration Advisory Board, the upcoming elections. But what it is, why it is important, we will talk about this. And we have two wonderful ladies with me, Carmen Romano. Hello, Carmen.
Hi, good evening. Assalamu alaikum. I hope I didn't
Oh,
butcher
wow.
that.
Oh, that was good.
Good.
I tried.
Yeah, that was great. And we have Mursal Nurzai. Hello, Mursal.
Grüß Gott, Assalamu alaikum. Hello and hello, everyone.
Very good. So we have two wonderful guests. So we will straight away start with the brief introductions, and then we will go about what is Migrationsbeirat and why it is important. So let's start with Carmen, and then we go to Mursal.
Okay, how much time do I have? Because I tend to talk too much. I hope I don't.
Yeah, lesson is good and interactive is good, so people don't
Yes.
go away quickly.
Okay. So I'm originally from Italy, from Ferrara. It's a nice city in the northeast part of the country. Originally, my mother is from the area, and my father was from the area of Naples. So I already, like, since I was born, I contain multitudes,
Mhm.
and I think also, like, what I got from my parents as traditions and culture is very important. So I would
Mhm.
like to talk briefly about that. Like, my father was himself a migrant. He moved to Sweden when he was only 20 to study, and experienced in this 15 years about that they lived there also a lot of discrimination and racism, but also, like, that enforced his identity as an Italian, and then he came back, and it was like one of these traditional South Italian families with like 8 children that spread all over the country. So I have also many relatives on that part, and on my mother's side, my grandfather was in the syndicate, like a worker family, and they taught me, like, values of solidarity and political engagement. And that meant a lot to me because already when I was 16, I started being politically engaged. I founded like a group of anti-mafia. It's like against organized crime.
Wow.
And I kept this. This is kind of one of my passions because I'm still active in that field. I work for. I'm active for the Mafia Nein Danke, which is an Italian-German organization that promotes the, like, culture of legality against organized crime, also in Germany. And yeah, then I studied political science first in Italy, and then I moved in 2011, as we found out before. It's like the year where every
Yeah, we just found out that
Yeah.
Carmen, Mursal, and I, we all came in 2011 in Germany. It's a
Yeah,
coincidence.
so if you also came on that year, it's the best year. And yeah, I moved here to study my master, and then I started working in the field of civic education. Basically, in Germany, there are many foundations. And in Pakistan, there was one seat of the Heinrich Böll Foundation, if I remember correctly, that then had to close down a few years ago.
Okay.
And I work right now for the Petra Kelly Foundation, which is basically like the regional seat of this Heinrich Böll Foundation. And so for work, what I do is I organize seminars, public debates to help people get informed and engaged, because, you know, democracy works at its best if people are engaged and informed. And for work, I also do digital content like podcasts and videos, and that's why I have this mic here.
Mike also. I should also get one.
And yeah, and in my spare time, I also do a podcast in Italian. That is a way to help my generation. By the way, I was born in 1989. To have a voice, because in Italy especially, it's not much heard. You know, nepotism and stuff like that. And otherwise, yeah, I started, and then I decided, or maybe we can talk about it later, why I decided
later.
to
About
run
how
for
you
this
came into German
election.
politics,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes,
Then we
yes.
go to the introduction of Mursal, and then we will talk about individually why and how both of you came into politics and why it is important. Okay, so Carmen is from Italian background, and Mursal is here from. Mursal can introduce herself.
Yes, sure. Thank you, first of all, Sharique. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure always to speak with you and now being in your show. First of all, congratulations for your show. I have told you this privately, but also on air.
Thank you.
It's amazing to get to know Carmen. Thank you, Carmen, for being here. And yes, my name is Mursal, and my family comes from Afghanistan, a country which is not very private from anyone because of his long history of war, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
I was just born in 1991 when my parents migrated from Afghanistan to Pakistan. Um, and since 1991, I'm in Pakistan, or I was in Pakistan. I'm brought up there. I lived in Islamabad, the most beautiful city. I always compare it with Munich. Um, I I studied school there. I was one of the very sport oriented and very active students. I was in cricket, Sharique. That's how we got connected
Mhm.
because I wanted to join the cricket team here in
Oh,
Munich.
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I was called the I was given the medal of head girl of the college. I was studying in Islamabad Model College for Girls. I started doing studying medicine, but then I moved to Germany in 2011, the most famous year for all of
Mhm.
us. Um, I came here for some private reasons, and that was that I had an arranged marriage, and but it um, dissolved within 3 months. It was not a very nice experience. We will not go to the details, but that was the reason why I moved to Germany, leaving family, leaving my studies, my friends, everyone behind me. Coming from a very educated family, my mom Carmen shared some story about the family, so I got inspired now to tell about my mother. She was a journalist, always worked for women welfares, lived in India many years, worked for children and women in Afghanistan and India. My father was from army, so yeah. Growing up, I learned from my family how important it is to be an active member in a society where we live.
Hmm.
Do you want to live a morning to evening person and then only, just um, it's important to have your own private priorities. First of all, your family, your friends, your husband, your wife, your children. But is it enough? It's an individual decision that we have to make. So I'm brought up with this mindset. Do you have concerns about society? Are you happy about the politics? Are you happy about the decisions? If you
Mhm.
are unhappy, what can you do for it? Are you going to keep quiet, or are you going to be an active member of the society where you can contribute? So these
Here
were
I
the
want to
reasons.
add one thing. 90% of people do private discussions that some things are not going wrong. They get frustrated and then they keep doing the normal life. But very few people, although they are not sure if they can really make a difference, but they try to make a difference and come in on the front. And today we have these two ladies who have decided to be active part of politics, and it's difficult in a being an immigrant yourselves. So yes, continue. First of all,
Yeah,
really
that's it.
respect that.
That's it. I just wanted to finish with that. Yeah.
Good. So now, so that was introduction, how you both grew up, your families, and how you came to Germany, like me in 2011. So now we go to the interesting part. So how both of you, we'll start with Carmen again, how both of you ended up in a political party in Germany. And then we will talk about the Migrationsbeirat and why it is important. But first this question is about how you entered a political party and how is the experience so far. So Carmen and then Mursal.
Okay, so I became a member of the Green Party in May 2000, well, yeah, 2021, yes, because I got the German citizenship 3 years ago. And in 2021, it was my first chance to vote for the general elections in Germany. And I was so excited. And I've more or less always voted for the Green at the local level because as an EU citizen, of course, I can vote for the local election. It's a big privilege
Yes.
that we want to change, actually, because it should be everyone should be able to vote for the local election, in our opinion. And yeah, so I was excited, and I thought it's such a big important changing year because it was the end of the era Merkel, and
Mhm.
then I thought, well, maybe I want to support my party, and then I decided to start. But then I didn't got active right away because in May 2021 I was like 8 months pregnant. Yes, and and so the first year I was very passively, like, just reading the newsletter and stuff like that, because I was like orienting myself in this new
Yes.
life as a mother. And then I started being active again. Yeah, last year, towards the end of the year, in the autumn, when my daughter started going to daycare, and then I noticed, okay, I have a bit of time that I can invest again in being social and politically active, because I've always been politically active, but it was just hard with a small kid. And then it felt a bit like destiny, because around that time I received this newsletter where the party was starting to arrange for a list for the Migrationsbeirat, and I was
Yes.
like, I actually always wanted to be active in the local politics and make the move between socially active and then actually politics, because as many of you, also in sport, it doesn't have to be politically relevant. If you are engaged, you always get frustrated with the local politics, because there's always something, I don't know, in the bureaucratic system that frustrates you, that you can't do because it's just small details and stuff like that. And then I think this is very motivating to start doing politically local politics, because then you can actually change this very concrete everyday life stuff that can also help other people to get engaged. And I think that's really motivating and cool. And so, yeah, it was kind of destiny. I thought, well, why not? And then when we met to create the list, I was so inspired, because and it keeps inspiring me. Our list is really amazing people from all over the world, different nationality and interreligious backgrounds, and we all work so well together. And as a person that has have many experiences with many different groups of people, it's so rare to find a group of people where you click immediately and you don't have conflicts, everyone is working. So yeah, I'm really
That
happy
was
to be here.
interesting.
Yeah.
Then we will talk more about the Migrationsbeiratswahlen. But this is how you entered a political party, and it was your journey in last 3 years. So that was great and
Yeah.
inspiring. And Mursal, now you tell about that how you entered into German politics. You told about your struggle earlier. You wanted to do something actively for the community, but how come you entered a political party?
Mm, so it's actually a very it's long time ago. I realized yesterday it's 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
Uh, during my very hard times in the beginning, when I was going through find my way in Munich, I wanted to learn. I eager to learn all the time. So I'm a very, like, even if I know something and if I know someone else might know it differently, I will be like putting a lot of questions out there. So being interested in knowing about the city I live, this was the main idea. Okay, Marcel, now you're here. You decided to stay back. You don't want to go back to your country, or you don't want to go back to your family. What now? So I remember I was already in the university. I started university again after starting the language classes and finishing the language classes, German language classes, which we are all aware of. So, and I realized I need to know where do I live. I need to know what the people think. It was very difficult for me coming from a completely different culture, Carmen.
Mhm.
As a woman, um, probably being European, it might be also different for you, right? Living in
Yeah,
Yes,
Germany and Munich,
I
it's
think so for
totally.
completely
Carmen
different.
also. Yeah.
And then imagine coming from Asia or coming from this
Mm.
subcontinent. It's like a completely different story. We're coming from wearing most of the time shalwar kameez, even jeans pants, but coming from a different language, then growing up in a different language. Now you're in Germany, you went through some trauma and everything, and now you want to find your way because you decided to stay back here. So I did something similar like you, Sharique. I heard SPD. I had some discussions with some other parties like Green, and I got to know some people from CSU, and here I landed with CSU, and the the eager of learning and knowing more about where do I live, what does it mean to be in Bavaria, in Munich,
Mhm.
and how can I get to probably have some more friends, get to know some laws, local laws, Carmen, as you mentioned, and how to make my way. This was the initial thought. That's how I entered.
That's how you came into the party. So now that's wonderful. You both joined the parties. Now we are let's make people aware about what is the Migrationsbeirat. Let's talk about a little bit about this, and then a little bit try to help people. I will be neutral here, that why they should come and vote for your respective parties, I heard also that in the end they all work together also. So Migrationsbeirat is a little bit different, but let's talk about Migrationsbeirat. So maybe Carmen, you can start. Like, what do you think? What is a Migrationsbeirat? Before, yeah.
Okay, since you told us you have like a follower from all over Germany, it might be interesting to know that not every city in Germany has a Migrationsbeirat, but most
Yes.
of the biggest cities have one, and might also be called different names like Integrationsbeirat,
Yes.
Ausländersbeirat, and so on.
True.
And they all were formed in different times, but around like 70s and 80s. The Migrationsbeirat in Munich was founded in 1974, and it was back then mostly to help the so-called Gastarbeiter to get more integrated. So there was like mostly Turkish, Italian, and Greek people. And meanwhile, it developed as an organ of the city that works closely with the city council on one side and with the administration on the other side, has its
Mhm.
own budget of 160,000 euros per year, and works with it's 40 people working together to defend and the rights of migrants living in Munich, and proposing ideas, projects, asking questions, and so on. To make our life better and
Yeah.
easier. And yeah, the elections happen every 6 years. That's also why we don't hear that often about it. And last time the electoral participation was so low that they started a reform to help more people to get involved. They founded like they paid for a person actually working to make the communication of the Migrationsbeirat, and that's why this year, for the first time, we have like posters in the U-Bahn and stuff like that, more events to inform the population. It's not enough, not nearly enough for my taste at least, but it's a start, and I hope we can build on that. And in 3 years, there's gonna be it's gonna be the only time that it's just 3 years of legislation, because from the next time on, the Migrationsbeirat, the election will be held at the same time of the local election.
Yes.
Thus, the idea of having more information about this very important election for us. Yeah.
Good, very good. We will go to Mursal with the same question. In before that, I will add that whenever we do discussions, private discussions among the immigrant community, I see that 90% of the people have no clue about
Mhm.
how the German politics work. So that's why we decided to do this program today with both of you. So the purpose is that people should be aware how what is Landtag, what is Bundestag, what is how the parliament work, how the local politics work, and now this is how Migrationsbeirat work. So as she said, Carmen already told that it is in few cities, but few major cities with different names. And this time, it is also in Munich, and the role is to identify the problems and give important making suggestions to the city parliament. And normally it is the tenure is 6 years, but this time they did it 3 years, so that next time in 2026, when is there a Munich city parliamentary elections, so we do it together. So thank you, Carmen. So Mursal, tell us about, like, what do you think? What is the role, or what will be the role of the people who sit in the Migrationsbeirat? What they will be doing? What are their role in this? And why is it important?
I think if I may rephrase your question.
Yes, please.
Before I will say what will be the role of a Migrationsbeirat or Migrations Advisory Board of Advisory, I think we have to take a step back and understand who are the immigrants.
Yes.
Because if we know who are the immigrants, then the role is easier. Then the task is easier. We have to understand why these immigrations are happening. The economical impacts, the social impacts, the wars, the poverty within a country, the lack of jobs in a country, lack of resources and access to education within a country. So you see, immigration has so many faces. So because sometimes when we talk about immigration, right away, to me, probably to most of the people, a country had a war, people had to run, had to immigrate, come to a country. A lot, like, then the social impact, or let's say marital impacts, or the financial impact, this comes on a secondary level. But it's important to have an overview of why these immigrations happen. Mm-hmm. And how is Germany being impacted on it? If I'm not mistaken, around 1.32 million immigrants live in Germany. That makes Munich number third with 26% of immigrants.
Well, actually, it is, if you really consider the German citizens and non-German citizens, like everyone with some kind of migration background, then it is around 44%.
46%.
No, yes.
46% of people have immigrants.
Yes, but I was just talking about
26% those are not who have the citizenship or not the citizenship.
The EU.
46% is basically everyone counting like migrants of first and second generation. So even if they were born here, but their parents moved here, then they are considered with a migration background.
Are you talking about Munich? Munich?
Yes, Munich.
Just Munich.
So, but that with the generations, right? But
yes, together with the generations.
Recent wave of. I was talking about the recent wave of the immigrants moving to Germany.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, and that makes it super not interesting, but at most important to look at how immigration or people who are coming from different countries impact a country. On the other side, what are the future of these people, right? Now, it's easy to say, well, I'm going as an expat and I'm going to live in a country for 3-4 years, and then I'm going back to my country. Or to privately decide that let's move to a different country I have some budget, we will start a new life. In that case, it's a different story. Because you're financially a little bit independent and you probably do not really need in the beginning, the social welfares or whatever, right? So with that said, Immigration Board Advisory or Migrationsbeirat plays a very important role in the role of each member within it, whether it comes from a Green Party or a CSU party. It makes it more beautiful and interesting. People with a different mindset coming together, sitting together, understand the concerns of their communities from Italy, from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, from India, from wherever they come from, right? To understand that, first, you have to be active enough within your community to know that what are the big concerns. So, can I carry those concerns forward and speak about it and see how can it be um, um, not helped, but how it can be a part of discussion. So these people will not, some of them who are not very resourceful, will not
Mhm.
feel that they are left behind. So for me, these are the small points which makes a big impact.
Yes, very, very
If
insightful actually. Maybe I think Carmen wants to add on it, then I have a comment also. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, if I may comment on what you said before, absolutely, I agree that the Migrationsbeirat is. I mean, it's a hard job because it's 40 people representing 190 different nationalities that lives in Munich, and so we'll have to work together independently on our political ideas and so on. But I would. Refrain from making differences between refugees, migrants, expats, as you use this word, because I think it's more important to focus on the shared experience, on what it is to be a migrant. That's why, I mean, the Italian community often, especially like younger generation, often use this word expat, and I really don't like it because it just it's a fancy sounded word to make the experience of migration sound better. But I think each and everyone is just a migrant
But
because we have.
expats are used for in the business world. It's used for more those who come for work, etc. Right?
Yes, but they also use it just if they don't want to feel like
Similar to a refugee,
discriminated
it's like
against.
a kind of a class system, so
Yes,
this was a
exactly.
discussion in an expat group
Interesting.
recently, or a migrant group
Interesting.
recently, that so
Yeah,
so
and I tend to not use the word because I think that it doesn't matter which class you belong to. Of course, there's differences in the experience, but like the basical experience of not living in your own country of origin, of feeling uncomfortable with your own identity that is splitted and multiplied between these two or more, even more countries. The racism, the discrimination that you experience. Of course, it's different, completely different if you're white or you're not white. I don't want to say that, but I think the existential I don't know. It's a shared experience. Let me make a very concrete example. I don't know how much you are still in contact with your family of origin or your extended family in
both of us are
Pakistan.
both connected, a lot of
Okay,
very
very well. So every time I go back home to Italy, I if I do or say something, then they tell me, "Oh well, it's like it's the German talking," and like it might be a thing that is part of me as a person. It doesn't matter. It was always part of my character even before moving to Germany, but now it's kind of like you're this other thing,
Yeah,
this
but
othering.
you see that you become this person where everyone where you think you belong nowhere and others think that you have evolved.
Exactly, exactly. So
now it
that's
is getting
that's
actually
my
very
point.
now it is getting to a very interesting point actually. This Carmen, the point you raised actually is very interesting on multiple levels. Why? Because now you said we all want to find the common things between the immigrants, but it is ideal thing, this we should go in this direction, but it will
Of
take some
course.
time, because within the immigrants, unfortunately, also there is a lot of level of discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
European or versus Asian, and within Asian, the richer immigrants or educated immigrants or worker class
Sure.
immigrants, or people who came with a choice, with a big degrees or with a very good jobs, versus people who came from war with the refugees and
Mm-hmm.
with not so much chances. So this happened. This word expat also is kind of in this. But I felt, and because I'm also very much connected with all communities and very active. So what I felt is, the ideal situation is that all the immigrants should be treated in the same way. Yeah. And even the ideal is they are living like non-immigrants and immigrants, everyone together. That's the ideal situation. But because we are not there yet, so many people who are a little bit privileged, they want to differentiate themselves from underprivileged refugees or came from the war or looked at, oh, they are
Exactly.
poor people, we have to help them. So they don't want, so they want to get differentiated, and then they start using this word expats. So this is a little bit tricky. And then expats, then migrants, and then refugees. So there are multiple levels. But this is a long, that's why also the work of people like you, both of you, is also very, very important, because we have to create awareness. Unless awareness, nothing will happen. So let's continue the discussion, because it's getting very interesting, but it already came 30 minutes. I think we have to have a follow-up session also.
Definitely.
Sure.
I didn't think it's 30 minutes
It's
already.
already 30 minutes
Oh
and very,
wow!
very.
Yeah, no, it
We
passed
didn't
went so
start it
fast.
yet.
So I was saying that we will do the show for 30 minutes, but it is so insightful, because I don't know about the viewers, but actually I am learning a lot of things from both of you. It's very insightful. So let's move quickly about again to the Migrationsbeirat München,
Mhm.
this upcoming election, because this is just coming and we want to make people aware that they have to go to vote. And first of all, Carmen, tell us who can vote, who has the right to vote in the upcoming elections in Munich.
Okay, so everyone who doesn't have a German passport can vote and should already have received a letter automatically with the logo of the Migrationsbeirat. Maybe while Mursal later is talking, I'll find the letters that I can show you. A second group of people is people with a double nationality and people that became German, but in the last 12 years. So after the 18th of March in 2011. This is actually problematic.
Alan just
That
disappeared.
Yeah, he disappeared. Are you still there?
We can continue.
Okay, we can
Yes, yes,
continue.
of
So,
course.
okay, okay, and
So I was
it's
bringing this for you guys.
awesome, perfect. Okay, and it's a problem that we are talking in on the 5th of March because the 3rd of March was the deadline if you have a double citizenship or the German citizenship to get enrolled in the list of voters. So unfortunately, if you're hearing this news right now and you have a double citizenship or the German citizenship, you cannot vote anymore for this election. But maybe you want to do it already in advance for next one, so you can still do it. And later I'll post the link on how to do it in the comments. Yes. So those are the 3 categories. And if you didn't receive, if you don't have the German citizenship and you didn't receive your letter, it's fine. Might have been some bureaucratic problem. Then you can ask for the Briefwahl, which is like vote by mail. And also, which unfortunately happened to many people, they get this letter which is written in a very German bureaucratic way. You don't understand what's it about, and then you throw it away. You can still vote if you're listening on or watching this video right now, but you can only vote with the mail vote, the Briefwahl. So you have to ask for the Briefwahl until the 15th of March. That's also very important. Italian
Yeah.
English accent. Oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
comments. So they say Italian accent is always unique, and one of the yes, this is also uniqueness. Okay, so here's the link also for people can look into it. Migrationsbeirat-münchen.de. There is information on this link. Yes, Mursal. So Carmen already told who can vote. So tell us why people should come and vote. How can it make an impact?
So the first thing I wanted to say after hearing Carmen is whoever is deciding, if someone is hearing us from out of Germany and really wants to come to Germany and start a life here, to avoid all these kind of understanding or communication problems, please start studying German, because that is the key to your success. No matter if you want to come to live to Germany, if you are in Germany now, whether in Munich, Berlin, any other where, please try to learn the language. That is a barrier that will stop you from getting the right job, connecting with people, communicating with the culture, understanding the culture, making new friends, getting the best spouses that you dream for. and in the school, in the universities, because the way a language is spoken, it's different in each country. The culture is different, and only you can break all those barriers and understand each other, and the fear will go away if you know the language, if you understand the culture. Why someone uses a word which is different than from a different country? It might be used differently in Spain or in Italy, but it's used differently in Afghanistan and in Germany. Is it harsh? Is it normal? So all these things can be gone, or can be solved if you really learn the language. This is one thing I really wanted to say, because those letters or those information that's being sent around, sometimes it's not in multiple language. Now the websites are in multiple language. It's in Arabic, it's in English, it's in Spanish, it's in Italian. I saw Farsi. I didn't see Urdu. But a lot of time the letters that's sent to houses for these elections or other bureaucratic processes are all in German, and therefore it's important to know the language. And coming back to your question, why people should vote? Well, first of all, what is voting? I mentioned I'm now in CSU the last 7 years, and sometimes when I am doing door-to-door welcome for door-to-door election, promoting for election, I hear people saying, well, I don't want to vote, or I'm not voting, I don't have time, or any other reason. I don't want to go into the details of the reason. I was not allowed to vote till 2021, because 2021 I got my German residency, and all my life
German citizenship.
I was waiting to vote. I was eager to vote. I felt it's my right to vote, and I'm not having the right of, because when I moved to Germany, I was 17 and a half. So I was not able to vote in Pakistan. And then I moved in Germany. I was an immigrant, or someone who was not eligible for the voting. And I was unaware of the Migrationsbeirat, by the way, till a couple of years ago. So I missed this, and I was in a lot of other problems then to think about voting. So it's two things are very important: to know how important it is to use your right to vote. Very important. It's your individual right. It's our individual right. It doesn't matter what party you vote for. Even if you know a single person, or you have seen them somewhere speaking, or if you have seen them, I don't know, on the street and they're talking to you, try to understand what they are about. And maybe you want to vote for this person. And if this time it doesn't go well, next time you vote a different person. That doesn't matter. But vote. Try to educate yourself, get information online, and vote. Today we are living in a world of social media where everything is available online, right? So voting is very important. It's your right. And secondly, who to vote or why to vote, because people might have a lot of problems and priorities in their lives than to come and inform themselves for voting.
Yes. Okay.
It's our right, just one line. This is our right to our responsibility now, being in politics or being a member of different organizations, to take this platform or use our knowledge and share this information to our communities.
Good. Yeah, Carmen has a point. Then we have questions.
If I may say something about that also, I think it's vitally important to vote for this election, because if we don't represent ourselves, no one else will. Like blatantly. And in a city, as I said before, where 46% of the population has a migration background, only 2 out of 80 people in the city council have a migration background. And that's just not representative, not democratic. And it has many causes, among others, the fact that non-EU citizens can't vote for the local election, which is also not right. But if we start engaging more, if we vote for the Migrationsbeirat, then we have the right people that can get more experience, because working in the Migrationsbeirat, as I said before, it's like building a bridge between the administration, the organization of the communities, local people, and so on. And then you have more experienced people that might also run for the local election and have a more diverse and more representative city council.
So this is a very important point. This was a trigger for me also a few years ago when I saw that from out of 80 people, 78 are belonging to ethnic Germans. So then even if their intention is good to help the 46% of people who have immigrant background, but they don't understand the problems. So that's why more and more people
go through certain things to understand the immigrants.
Yeah, so more and more people have to start on both sides. So we have to create engagement and bridge between them. So it was very insightful discussion. We were discussing why it is important and why people should learn. That's why we did not focus mostly on these elections, but general why in politics is important, why taking part is important. It took longer also. But before ending, some very, very quick questions, very specific, and it's like I want fast answers now. So
rapid fire. It's called
let's do a fire round because it's a very time is running.
Might be triggering for someone.
Might be triggering also. So now we go a little bit focused, So I will ask that. So one by one. So Carmen, I will ask you what in your opinion the most important problems for the immigrants at the moment, and how your list or your party thinks that they can solve them. Why people should come and vote for you? Do you have an agenda, some stance, like why people and immigrants from Munich to come to vote to your party?
Okay,
the same
I'll
question
try to
will come to Mursal, so she has more time to think.
3 points, very shortly. First, as I said before, migrants are not treated equally. The system is creating citizens of A, B, C, D different lists, because we see with the recent coming of people from Ukraine, the refugees from Ukraine were treated completely different from people from Syria, Afghanistan, and other countries. And that shows on one side that it's actually possible to not be too bureaucratic, too fixated on small points, but be open and let it work out. But on the other side, it's just very discriminating. Second point on this, the electoral voting possibilities. Only EU citizens can vote at the local election. This can unfortunately not be changed at the local levels, but at the regional level. But hey, we have in autumn, in October, the next regional election. So maybe depending on how we vote now, we can put pressure on the respective parties. And I can say for my side, the Green Party is already having like this Wahlrecht für alle, so electoral voting possibilities for everyone in its program. So it's a starting point. Second point, the bureaucracy is just too much. It doesn't matter if you're a refugee or a young entrepreneur coming here. It's very, very complicated and not digitalized enough. And so we wanted to help the administration get more digitalized and also have more papers and formulars and stuff in other languages, at least in English, so that people can actually understand what they're signing, what they're doing with these important papers. And also accessibility to the bureaucracy, because before the pandemic, there was like on Tuesday, you could go without an appointment and do your stuff, wait a long time, but do your stuff. During the pandemic, they cut off this option and it's not there back again. So this like very concrete everyday life stuff, we want to create the possibilities. And third, promote the participation. It's key that we make the Migrationsbeiratswahlen more known, and we can do it with very simple things, like as soon as you get registered at KVR, when you start your life in Munich, they know, okay, you don't have a German passport, then here you are. Here are all the information about the Migrationsbeirat, your representative, because this way you know right away, okay, there's someone that represents my rights. And we want to open a center of cultures. It can have another name, it doesn't matter the name, but the core thing is that it's a place where organization of the different communities can meet without paying rent or anything, and organize themselves, because we truly believe, the Greennahes believe, that through social engagement, connection between people, that's the way to a real integration. You're muted, Sharique.
So very nicely you explained, summarized the key points that will be your focus for the upcoming elections. So I have the similar question to Mursal. So what do you think about, what are the key things you will focus on?
So this won't be a job of a single person.
I mean, like your party, or what's your stance for the list?
Or probably not a single party. So I hope whoever will be decided, but whoever will be elected will do a great job. On the other side, we as a team, we are individuals with different backgrounds, coming from completely different countries. Some are from the similar countries, bringing a lot of diversity on the table. Some of our colleagues are working in KVR itself, bringing a lot of knowledge of bureaucracy and how to make the processes easier. I myself, I'm very much focused on education and making the information on how different type of people or immigrants now living in Munich who wants to either go to the university, Ausbildung, or colleges or schools, how they can get more information on it. And actually not information, but how they will start it, how they will do it. Because the informations are scattered, like it's divided everywhere, it's different websites. So how we can bring all in one place so people get more access, easier access. On the other side, some are focused on the current war in Ukraine. On the other hand, we have an Indian colleague who's working on how to make, because a lot of Indians are expats. I know, Carmen, you don't like the word, but they are expats. They're living in Munich and they're working, having a job, a good jobs, like already came for that work. But they have a problem that they cannot invite their families or parents for a short time. So how they can make people feel home more by letting parents stay in Munich or in Germany longer. It doesn't matter what different ideologies we will be having or what different vision that we have. I have this feeling that Munich has always been very welcoming. I really want to highlight this. Living now since 12 years in Munich, if you really want to achieve as an immigrant something, there is no one to say no to you. You have to understand culture, the language, and then you have to have the willingness to do it. It's difficult because the language, as Carmen says, it's a different language. So it has to become easier and accessible. It has to become more digitalized. But Munich itself is a city that always enabled for people. And yes, we want to contribute to that. Yes, we want to make it more accessible. Yes, we want to, for example, Sicherheit, like security. Feeling secure if you're going 1 o'clock at night somewhere. Are you secure enough as a teenage girl or as a young girl, as a boy, as a human being? So these kind of different topics that my team is working on, and I think we are doing a great job. People with different areas, and I really hope at the end that whoever wins builds a very strong bridge for immigrants for different countries, different religions, different ethnicities, so they all feel welcomed, more welcomed than before.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Carmen. You will also unmute yourself, and Mursal, both of you. Thank you very much. So you gave the little bit agenda of your groups, of your list, I would say. How and first of all, it's really encouraging to see some really motivated women here. It's good for women empowerment also, and also immigrants should come forward. I was also joining several sessions, so I would really thank you to coming here. And the issues we discussed are today, some of them like very important tips, I would say. But before that, I will say thanks to Carmen for sharing the links which I put in the comments. So these are the links where the viewers can afterwards go and look about these elections and all the relevant things. And also in front of the name of both our prestigious guests, you have the name of their lists. You can Google them, or on Facebook also they have their own pages, so you can get more information about them. Okay, so I'm wrapping up, and then we will have one last minute from each guest to wrap up the show. So we discussed about that for integration, very important to take part in local politics, understand things. But the tip number one from both of the guests was to learn the German language. So this is very important. Another thing we discussed about was the issue of discrimination. So we have to focus on it. And also within the immigrant community, there is discrimination, and we have to try to make everyone aware and worked hard, and also play our part that discrimination is less and less. The next thing is about the important thing is integration into the German system. So it can happen if we have more and more engagement, and Migrationsbeirat is the really great step in this direction. We also discussed about like issues of employment and housing. So we will think about these. Migrationsbeirat will be helping in this also. We briefly discussed before this pre-show about healthcare issues, some issues where Migrationsbeirat can play a role, and also the legal issues that the people who newly come here, the legal issues they face. So there are things to help, but they are unaware. So these are wonderful, wonderful things that we discussed in this show. And now we will do more of these kind of things for awareness, more shows. And thank you both of you. And I will request all the viewers who will watch later also, please leave your comments, and also you can reach me directly so I can ask the questions to Carmen, Mursal, and other candidates or the respective people in the city parliament. I try to get all the answers for you guys, but the engagement is very important. So Carmen, any last things before we end the show? Last comment, and then Mursal.
Okay, quick comment. I think it's important to say that sure, integration starts within yourself. I also had to work very hard to feel at home here. I don't come from a rich family. On the contrary, I had to work my ass off, pardon my French, and get to know the language and so on. But there are also systemic discrimination for people they were not born here and don't have a German sounding name. Because, for example, if you start your life here and you look for an apartment and then it's less, you don't have as many chance as a German sounding name person to get that apartment, then it's a problem. So we have to tackle also the systemic things without letting people think that if I don't feel at home here, it's only my fault. I wanted to precise that. But ending on a positive note, I think it's important to say that Munich is a so diverse city, and we love it because it is so diverse. And this diversity has to be represented and also in the Migrationsbeirat. And it's so important for you to vote also because if you want to feel at home and feel represented, you need to have people that you can talk to. And in this sense, since I'm the only one that it's not from Pakistan here, a quick note. Of course, I'm a white European female, and I don't share the same experience of someone born and raised, I don't know, in Karachi. But I can listen. and I want to listen. And the role of the Migrationsbeirat is to be this bridge between the communities, the organizations that do an amazing job already at the local level. And the Migrationsbeirat doesn't have to, as they say in German, discover the wheel again. They can also just support the organization doing an amazing job and just be the connecting point between the communities and the city council. So this way, just to say, we have a very diverse, great list, number 13, Grünnahes Vielfaltsbündnis. And even though I don't look like you, I can feel, talk, and above all, listen to you. And I would really appreciate for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And there is the website from Carmen also here, Vielfaltsbündnis.de. And that's a very thank you very much, Carmen. Last thing is that how can people reach you? You can write your email or something, then I can put in the comments. So
yeah, I do the social media for us, so I can just put our link and I answer them. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The same question to Mursal, your website I'm putting in the comments. Any last comment before we wrap up the show?
I would like to add two things here. Let us make a community where we do not have immigrants and Münchner, Germans. Let's make a community where, like a puzzle, we come together and live together. This is my vision. And I have always been welcomed by the CSU politicians or a lot of my German friends. I had a different experience. I had some negative experience in a different way, but in my personal life. But when it comes to politics in CSU, I had great experiences. However, we're talking about the majority. And when we talk about the majority, we have to look at the bigger picture and how we can come as individuals from different organizations. Doesn't matter, Green, SPD, CSU, we have to come together and work together for the betterment of the next generations, for the betterment of kids, new generations of Munich, the children of probably whose parents are from different countries, but they will be growing up in Munich and feeling this as a home, because this will be a different experience than what we are going through. So I hope that we come together and work together in a very respectful and in a very peaceful manner for a betterment of our city that we live. The second thing that I want to share is that being immigrants, we have some very important topics that we have to talk about. We have to talk about like housing. We have to talk about how to make how the economy has to be strong enough, for example, to socially help some of the less resourceful people, or how we can have more places, more kindergarten, more schools, access to probably completely free education and modern laptops for the children who can, learn technology, sustainability, then rather focusing on some, forbidding some chocolates ads or forbidding car diesel. So we have some really, leaving the luxury problems aside, we have some great problems that we have to work as different organizations together in Migrationsbeirat. So we really have to think about the bigger problems than focusing on small. So this is a message that I wanted to share at the end. And also, since Carmen shared the flyer, so I picked up mine. We are Allianz Münchner Migrant. It's called like this. It looks like this. And these are the beautiful people. If you can vote for us, you know how to vote now. Thank you.
Thank you very much to wonderful guests, Carmen and Mursal, who are doing really great to bring people of Munich together, to motivate others to bring integration. I love this vision that we want to build a community where everyone is together. In the comments, so I put the links of both the parties, both the list very neutrally here, and I tried that we give a fair chance to both the candidates, and it was not actually more about the list, but actually more how we can work together to make this community even more integrated and reduce the problems. And this was, I think, the first show in this direction, and now we will do more and more in this direction in English
Thanks
and
to
German.
you, Sharique. Thanks to you
Welcome.
for enabling us. This is amazing. This is already one step of success, that different people in a very harmony, like in the same platform, talking about immigrations and integration.
Thanks for the compliment.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good. So all the viewers, thank you very much for joining us. You can also reach me by email, ideas@shariquejavaid.com, or website, shariquejavaid.com. I will be happy to help or guide and answer all the questions. So it was a pleasure, and it's already 1 hour, so we'll wrap up the show. Thank you very much, Carmen, and all the best for the upcoming elections. Thank you very much, Mursal. All the best. And both of them, we did not mention, both are at the place number 3 in their respective list, right?
Oh, really?
Yes. So see, already so many similarities. Came in 2011, place 3 on the list.
So that's really interesting. So all the best to both of you. And I think so now for some of the viewers are now next time they will be in the list next time in 2026. So have a nice election time, and see you in the next campaigns also. And thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Namaste, shukriya. Thank you.